Hello everybody, thanks for watching. I'm Dave. Merkabah Academy is now entering the final lap of our new site, and we are racing towards the finish line. This is the final sale. Never Pay Again membership is now only $9.99. The flash drive is $39.99 and comes with Never Pay Again membership. We also added many new courses to our site. Say hello to Zinja and Jabari.
Hello everyone, my name is Zinja.
And I'm Jabari.
We will be your African Studies teachers here on Merkabah Academy. Africa is the second largest continent, known for its vast and diverse landscapes, from the Sahara Desert to the rainforest of Central Africa.
The continent is also known for its wildlife, with the savannas of East Africa being home to iconic species, making Africa an important and unique part of the world.
We will cover a wide variety of ancient African studies and use many of the teachings from Merkabah videos.
We will also cover many books and primary sources on our journey,
and we'll use many notes from history's greatest scholars and researchers. We will be here to instruct you and read most of the course materials. This will make the courses more easy to follow.
We can't wait to work with you. See you at the Academy.
Merkabah Academy full site is coming soon and will be the only conscious social media site available. Our members will have the best experience in online gaming and learning. Our retro gaming will offer some of the best titles in retro games, all of the best arcade and console games from our childhood, and more. This will be one of the funnest online learning and gaming experiences available, and our classroom competitions, contests, and tournaments will make it a challenge to climb the leaderboard. Merkabah Academy will be a global social media site, and we will provide our best in online security. The last site had many spam and solicitor accounts, and we want to make sure we protect our users' data and private information. To do this, we will no longer offer free accounts. Once the full site launches on September 18th, all new registrations will be required to pay a registration fee of $49.99, and there will be a 3-day money-back guarantee if you choose to drop out. However, this registration will not come with full Podia access or blue check verification. Eliminating free accounts will protect the site and ensure that our users are surrounded with like-minded people. This final sale will end Sunday and will not be offered again. Merkabah Academy will feature many easy and challenging time quizzes. Challenge your friends or classmates and earn points to help you climb the leaderboard. If you already paid for Never Pay Again membership, don't worry if you don't see your blue verified check yet. It will be there shortly or when the full site launches. On behalf of Merkabah Academy, we want to thank you for your membership support and patience. We are working hard to bring you the greatest conscious social media experience available. Please note that the site will shut down on Sunday for updating and will relaunch September 18th. All new users will be allowed to register on September 28th. Thanks for watching and see you at the Academy.
So the history is the important part because, we're all students of history and we got to know it. We got to learn it in order to understand why things are where they are. But what I want you guys to take from this is to understand why a lot of you guys in your own right are having problems with meditation and what those problems are about and how you can remedy those issues. But you got to know the history. It's, as I talked about before in Meditation 1, in order for you to really understand meditation, you got to take away the spooky part of it and understand, basically the science behind it, or, what you can take from it and put in real physical reality to understand or relate to in order for you to really grasp it and understand, what it's about and how it really works. So when you get this history, you understand everything behind it and what has been put in place to keep you from really experiencing it. It'll help you really appreciate it more, help you really get in a lot more to it. But, let's get into this. So now, talked about before how the ancient Egyptians told the Europeans that they needed to come back into melanin. So now, how do we even, come to this conclusion? Now, it's a lot of people who argue that this is something that didn't happen, but it's one of the things you got to understand. Like, everybody came into Kemet to learn. When you go back and you look at all of the ancient civilizations from that time, all melanated people across the world, everybody came into Kemet to learn, to study. The ancient Egyptians taught these people how to basically run their civilizations and taught them a lot of stuff. And when you go look at the ancient civilizations from around that time, we see every melanated civilization grew. Like they took that knowledge and they did things with it. We see that the Asians grew their civilizations. We see that in India, they grew their civilization. We see down in South America, the civilizations grew. And we look around and we see that it's the same type of teachings in ancient Kemet that we find in these ancient civilizations. We see the same type of symbols, the same type of following that we can see from ancient Egypt. And we see they had the same understanding. When we look across the world, we can find things that identically match up with what we see in ancient Kemet, showing that they must have at some point came into close contact with each other and basically prove what everybody is saying, that everybody came into Kemet to learn. The only civilization we don't find during this time where everybody is growing, everybody is developing their civilization, the only civilization we do not find, the only people we do not find during this time is the Europeans, white folks. You can go back during this time of ancient Kemet and you don't find a civilization of Europeans developed as the Chinese was, developed as they were in India. You can't show me a place on the planet where we can find ancient ruins that belong to Europeans prior to the fall of ancient Kemet. And this is what you also have to understand. Ancient Rome, ancient Greece were African civilizations. So when we talk about them teaching and them coming into Kemet, Africans as well, came into Kemet to learn from the ancient Egyptians, and they were taught, and everybody took their knowledge back. The only people we do not find growing a civilization as sophisticated as the ancient Egyptians, as sophisticated as the Indians and the Asians, is the Europeans. We do not get a sophisticated European civilization until the conquest of ancient Kemet. When Kemet fell, this is where we eventually start getting the Greek philosophers and everything like that start to come into play after they stole the knowledge from ancient Kemet. So we know the ancient Egyptians taught math, they taught science, they taught about astrology, they taught a lot of things to these people who came in to learn. Now, it was a lot of stuff that you could learn, a lot of stuff that you can have hands-on training with, as far as the ancient Egyptians teaching about, crops and how to basically agriculture, everything like that. They taught everything. The difference was, the mystery school. In order for you to get accepted into the ancient Egyptian the mystery schools, you had to pass a series of tests. There was an initiation process. And the process was even tougher for anybody that wanted to become what the Egyptians call a hem netcher or a hemet netcher, which means a male or female priest. In order to get that deep into the mystery schools, there was a process. And this is where the basis of basically meditation, yoga, chakra work, all this stuff comes from the knowledge and understanding of the healing process of Sekhem. Now, it says here, Egypt was then the cultural center of the world where everyone sought wisdom and learning, and scholars came far and wide to study in the temples. However, few made it through the arduous process of initiation into the priesthood. Some did succeed and took their teachings back to their homelands, where they taught others the sacred art of healing, of mysticism. Over the years, the teachings changed as the teachers developed and grew with their philosophy until each system had its own distinctive feel and energy. Now understand, this process, this test you had to take was a process of understanding how to feel energy. And it was tests that you had to take to prove that you can feel and understand different types of energy. This was a major part in the healing process and understanding how the ancient Egyptians were able to do a lot of stuff that they did. Now, one of the reasons why, of course, that the Europeans couldn't pass this process is because the calcified pineal gland. We also understand that having a lack of melanin played a role in you not being able to understand and pass this part of the initiation process and feeling energy and everything like that. So we know that, you had Thales, you had Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Pythagoras. We had a few ancient Greeks that were allowed to studying the ancient Egyptian mystery schools. And a lot of people say, well, they were Greeks. That's another thing you got to understand. A lot of these first, because there is not a long list, and it's something you really got to think about. Remember, we are living in a society that is controlled by the conquerors, not the conquered. So they are telling a false history. And it's up to us to be researchers and go out and to, put forward what makes the most sense. And this is clearly one of the things that they hide. The thing is, there are so many reports and depictions that the first Greeks that were initiated into the mystery schools were Black or indeed mixed race, mixed Black and mixed Greek or mixed with something else, which is one of the reasons why they were able to pass the initiation process of the Sekhem and prove they were able to feel energy because they were melanated. And this is one of the things that is talked about in the book Black Athena, understanding that the original Greeks were, Black, of course, before conquest. And it's something I'm going to talk about in the Sacred Science Volume 1 that's coming up. This is a long series that's going to be good. But we're going to get into a lot of this stuff. But we're Black. A lot of people know this already. When you look at the depictions we see of Socrates, a lot of people argue a lot of his features were Black. And we know, as I said, about Black Athena. And it's so much other things to point to this being so. The reason being, one, is there's only a small amount of Greeks that we could point to that actually made it into this part, the priesthood or the mystery schools of the ancient Egyptians. You would think it would be more. You would think it would have been a lot more information. And then also, you would think if they really got in there and got the knowledge that they need, it would be no need to conquer Kemet. So it's going to make a lot of sense in a second. But yeah, it says here, the origins of ancient Greek civilization. And it's commenting on the book by Barton Bernal. It says, Bernal rejects the theory that Greek civilization was founded by Indo-European settlers from Central Europe, which we know is bullshit. That theory, which Bernal calls the Aryan model, which it is, became generally accepted during the 19th century. Bernal defends instead what he calls the ancient model. The name refers to the fact that both Egyptians and Phoenician influences on the Greek world were widely accepted in antiquity. And this is easy for people to understand. One, you had the Aryans come down from the north after the Ice Age or what have you, started to come into what we know as Greece. And you had the Phoenicians there. Eventually, as the Greeks admit themselves, that they were the ones who basically, they got the alphabet from the Phoenicians, which the Phoenicians got the alphabet from the Egyptians because the Phoenicians were Egyptians. A lot of people get confused with the names. These are lazy Black people, the Egyptians, Africans, whatever you want to call them. They, of course, was in that area. There's no reason for anybody to think otherwise, because we got to understand, one, if you're talking about Heraklion, which we know was that port, and we're talking about ancient Egyptians, Northern Africans being in that part of Africa for who knows how long. Of course, they would have, went north. Of course, they would be able to cross the Straits of Gibraltar to get over there from Spain and be in Europe, which they was. And if you ever flew from Egypt to Greece, it's not that far of a flight. It's really quick. You can fly right over there. Sailing, you can see how quick it would be to sail right across that area. It wouldn't take that long at all on a boat. I flew back and forth between the two a few times. It wouldn't take them that long at all. But of course, they was in the area. And when you understand, the wars that happened, and when they came down and started to basically mix in and blend in with the ancient Greeks, how you got these mixed, Africans and Greeks, or white people, Aryans, and this is how they were basically infiltrated themselves into ancient Greek society. So understand, the Europeans that were too far from melanin could not be, initiated into the mystery schools. They couldn't get in. They couldn't pass the initiation. They couldn't pass the process. So eventually we know the Aryans, what they would have been called at this point, would go and mix in with every melanated civilization across the planet. And it's something you got to think of, connect the dots. You're in Kemet. You cannot get this information. You can't get into the deeper parts of the mystery school. So you remember that, well, wait a minute, these other races of people, these other groups of Africans, these other people who came into Kemet to learn, well, they got initiated. They got in. Let's go to these people and see if we can get in, which they couldn't get in as well. The mystery schools, even still, they taught what they taught, but it's not 100% clear exactly what the ancient Egyptians taught them or how much they taught them. But we can see from the structures and, what they have in these civilizations, like, in China and down in South America, it's amazing information that they must have learned from the ancient Egyptians. So they went to basically try to learn from them. They couldn't get in. They mixed in with everybody. They mixed in with, Chinese, came into India and basically took over and mixed in with them for a while. And we understand the whole concept. I talked about this in a Buddhism series about what happened once the Aryans came in and how they basically claimed they created Hinduism, Buddhism, or what have you. And a lot of this was going on.